Hello, this is Lisa in Imagination Sisterhood Studio, and today I am sharing part 3 of my series on my thrift store upcycle. In this video, I'm going to be sharing how to use details that are in your paper to create unique features in your journal. So let me just show you the papers. I'm working in this particular journal. I am working with the papers from DasyAvenue's Botanical Bundle. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about finding features. So this one is very easy to see the feature in this particular image. It's this gigantic black thing that you could do something with, or this little hole up in here that you could do something with, and the do something is what I'll show you later. You could, this is gorgeous. I love these images, but you've got little windows and doors in here that you can do something with. Here's another trellisy kind of thing. You can even use the edges of flowers, of plants, of whatever. I think I got this upside down. You can use any of these lines that you see on your images, you can use to create these unique features. I think that's enough of an introduction. Let's get started. All right, so one way I like to dress up a regular journal that I've bought, and these are always thrift store finds, is I can take a page like this, and in the beginning I mentioned I left all the sides on my images. I leave that flange, and then I can glue that down, and that makes a little pretty picture, little pretty separate thing right in a regular journal. And I love that. I love doing it, and I stick them everywhere. I stick them in the middle, I stick them up to the side, I make it fold out the other way. So I thought we'd do, I do another one. This one is going to be a little fussy, so if you're not a fussy person, then you can do part of this, but maybe not all of it. I will leave it totally up to you. But if you're looking for different ways to use papers, and I am picking an arbitrary page in this journal, this is a different way to use journal papers other than thinking you have to make a whole journal. I don't always feel like making a whole journal, but I love doing this. And a lot of times these are fun for me to do. Oops, oh, sorry, just jammed my camera there. Let's get it, oops. There we go. All right, I see my lamp. All right, I was going to try to hold this open. I guess I'll do it this way. These clips are so big. I just wanted a clip to hold that page open. Okay, so I have taken, I love, when I see these pictures, I'm immediately put into that place. And like, I think, oh, what would it be like if I walked over that bridge, and what would I see on the other side? And this one is like, if I opened that window, what would be going on inside that window or that door? So with this one, I keep thinking about this. I love these stairs. And like, what's behind there? And so I took one of the other images with the door, and I have glued them together, again, leaving that extra piece on so I can glue it in. And now you could just do that. You could have 2 pages, great. You could glue it in. You'd have this page and this page. That would be fine. Of course, I always want to do more. So I'm doing more. So what I am going to do is take this and hold on to where it's, so these are like coordinating papers that, to me, the scene kind of continues on. As you can see, you know, you can't really tell that there's an edge. This could be like a trellis or something, and then you can tell that the garden is back there. So I'm hoping that these 2 papers are going to kind of blend together, and you'll see with my cutting how it'll end up blending. So the first thing I want to do is figure out where my page end is, and my page end is here, and that'll help give me some guidelines as to how to do the rest of this. So then I'm just going to cut that off. But this is a way to add some secret. Somebody said to me, oh my gosh, I'd love to see how you find all your secret things. I see doorways and pathways and holes in things in the natural picture. And so when I see that, then I'm like, okay, well, how can I make that something that's kind of experiential in my journal? All right, so that, I'm done with that right there. This, I kind of don't want that much of this, and I may even ink this a little bit in a green to make it look like it blends a little more. And this, I am just going to start tearing from here because I want it to be a little more, a little less perfect is, I guess, the way to put it. And I like to use my finger, and that way I can put my finger down here and I can tear this kind of exactly where I want it. So it gives me the torn edge, but it also gives me some control over where the tear goes. So I see I could tear it around there. All right, so that's the first thing I'm going to do. The next thing I want to do is I kind of want to include this in it. I could cut it off and then it would just be 2 pages and it would be fine. But I'm hoping I got that in there straight. Okay, so I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do, and here's something I'm going to recommend. If you don't like the fussy cut, but you like the look of fussy cut, Fiskars, I don't know how old these are because I got them secondhand, but Fiskar makes scissors that are called paper edges. And as you can see, it's got this really rumply edge. So if anything you take, excuse me, I can cut around something, and all of a sudden it looks like I've done all kinds of, let's see, there we go. You can see it looks like I really did some fussy cutting. And you can do this around flowers, and it looks like you've done all the detail of cutting out the flowers, and really all you did was use these scissors. So if you like the look of fussy cut but you don't want a fussy cut, I would highly recommend a pair of scissors that does this really tattery edge. All right, so for now I'm gonna keep tearing because I want this tear to go up this way. And then I'm going to get into this tree area, and hopefully, if I'm lucky, I'm going to be able to cut around this a little bit and take advantage of all of that greenery. I'm going to put my glasses back on here, and then I'm going to start cutting. Now, if I wanted to, like I say, if you don't like the fussy cut, then this is the place where that rough edge, it will do all of the fussy work for you. You don't have to worry about, oh, I'm not a good cutter or whatever. You don't have to do any of that. And I don't like this. So I'm going to go in here and really take advantage of that group of cluster of leaves, because that's going to start my impression of this garden top going on. And I think I want more. Again, this is an eyeball thing. This is a totally me thing. But if you want to know how I do it, this is how I do it. And I don't like that. I want this to have some shape to it. So that's really all, yeah. See, that's really all I'm looking for, is I want some shape. All right. All right, I'm happy with that. Now I want to do something similar with this, and I think it may be a tear. And I'm just going to tear somehow along here so that I get to see all those beautiful roses. Now, can you see how this picture now blends into that picture? Isn't that nice? I kind of would like that fussier, but I think I'm going to be happy with it. Normally I would ink. I'm not sure I'm going to ink that because I really like how it blends. All right, now this is going to get very fussy. I want to see the door. I want to go up the stairs and I want to see the door. So that means I have to get out my knifey thing and I'll lay this open. And I am going to cut this, and we are going to hope that this comes out right. That's really all there is to it. I have no idea where I'm cutting. I've done as best as I can to line it up, but I'm really not sure how this is going to work. And I'm just cutting this kind of zigzaggedy because I want it to be really natural looking. I am going to cut this little piece off, but then I am going to start catching some of this design. And we're just going to zigzag around, allow my you have to have a very sharp Exacto knife to do this. And I'm going to go all the way up here, and then I want this little piece, because I have a feeling my door is going to be kind of hidden under this. I may do that with scissors. Don't think I can do that with a razor knife. Well, maybe I can. I love the fussy cut. Fussy cutting is very relaxing for me. I prefer doing it with scissors, actually. The razor does not have the same, doesn't make me feel the same, but I know lots of people that hate fussy cutting. So if you hate fussy cutting, get one of those scissors that I was talking about, because they are magic for fussy cutting. And let's just do some really squiggly lines here so we can catch those flowers. And we want to catch these flowers. And I definitely want to catch this branch that's coming out of here. So now we have this really funky squiggly thing. And I am going to have to go back, I think, and use my scissors a little bit right here. I was trying to catch these leaves. And I may have to trim some of this off once I see how much of my door shows through. There we go. So now we have this really fun shape. I'm almost afraid to close the door because I'm afraid to see if it missed the mark. I might, no, look at that. So there's my door. All right, and I kind of think I want this part out of this, so I think I'm going to do this by hand because I want to see a little more of that door. And this is going to be really this is kind of fragile, you know, so this is not going to be a page that people, I think it's something you will appreciate when you look at it, but I think you won't turn it a lot because you'll recognize that it's just paper. To me, it's a little like origami, you know, it's beautiful, but it's really just paper. You can't, it's not something you give your kids to play with, that's for sure. Well, let's go in here and trim this out a little bit so we catch some of these flowers. And again, I'm not like, okay, everybody can do this. I know everybody can't do this. This is definitely not for everybody. But if you want to know how my brain thinks and where I see potential for using papers in a unique way, this is how my brain thinks, and this is how I use papers in a unique way. And as you can tell, it's a little bit trial and error. You know, it's not, it's definitely not a sit down, I know exactly what's going to happen before I start. I look at it, and then I think, oh, wait a minute, that's not quite it. And then I mess with it a little bit more. All right, just want to get that little tiny piece out of there. Okay. There's my door. So I love that. I definitely am going to ink that. I won't do that now. Once again, you could be done if you wanted to, but I'm not done. I want to cut the door out. So I want this to have, like, that's the final thing. You open the door, you open the door, you open the door. So that will be the last fussy cutting I'm going to do. And I'm just going to cut this door so it opens. Let's have it open this way. only because this side is a little less, I guess, distinctive. And I'm only going to cut it till it meets this edge. I got to get completely on the arch so that it will fold open. If you don't get around the arch, then your door won't open. So you have to get to here where it gets straight again. And once it gets straight again, it will make a door. And there we have a door. So I'm going to fold that back. So now we have, you walk up the stairs, you open the door, and what I really want to put in there, just because I think it's fun, if I can find it, because I cut it, is that little bird's nest. How fun is that? Way fun. Now I have to decide if I'm going to glue this second page down. I think I am. I think I'm going to attach this whole piece to this page. Okay, so the first thing I need to do then is figure out where my, I think I need to ink my edges, because I definitely want all of this to be I want this to be clear. So I guess if you're asking me, how do you use paper differently? How do you make, add interest to your pages? I would say look for what the artist has already given you to work with. Look for, like, this would be really fun. If you cut a slit in there, you could make 4 little pockets and put little tiny notes in there. That would be really fun. So look for places that there's already little lines in your patterns, in your papers. I think I am going to lightly ink this. And then definitely want to get some ink in here. I need my smaller inker. But yeah, look for places that there are steps, there are lines, there are already like a place where there's bark. You could cut a slice in there. That would be a great place for a pocket. That would be a great place to add some detail. Just look at the paper and look for places that are already a part of the paper. And you will find all kinds of ways that you can add interest and detail to your, and yeah, this is really fussy, but you know what? I don't do a whole book of this. I do 1 page of this. You'd be lucky if you get 1 page of this in a journal of mine. This is not like something I do all the time. I love to do it, but you know, it's a lot of work. So I don't do it all the time. But when I feel like doing it, then I do it. All right, let's make sure we get our little, and I might even put a bird with this nest once I get the nest glued on. I will know once I do it. All right, so we're putting this here. The nest has to go here. So that's where I'm figuring out where to put stuff. So that's the next thing, is that nest has got to go right there. So I put a little square, and then I can erase that once I get my nest on. That glue all the way to the edge. We have another gloomy day here. This has been a long, gloomy winter. That is for daggone sure. All right. And I have some birds. I could put a little bird on there. Will it show? Let's see if it will show. Oh, yes. We will definitely put that little bird. I have this bird, too. See what that looks like. Well, he's awfully dark. I don't like that he's so dark. I really would like a lighter bird. He's a little bit too... Here I am! like screaming at me. So I think even though this bird is a little bit too little for the nest and those eggs, I think that's the bird I'm going to use. And I think I want him a little bit out of the picture. Do not like all that white stuff going on, so I'm going to have to take some of that off. And we'll just give him his little birdie feet. And we will ink that so we get rid of some of that too much, definitely too much white going on there. I don't want that sticking out. All right, so we want him about there. And that way you also get a little cute little birdie peeking out there. Kind of wish I could leave this so that you could open the page, but I just don't like that big clumpy feet. I do not like the big clumpy feet, so let's get rid of that. Okay. Erase my pencil marks so you can't see them. What do we think? Do we want this all to open? Problem with, I didn't do anything on the back of this, and I don't like that it's white, so that would mean that I'd have to ink that. So I think instead I'm going to glue it down. Plus it's kind of it's all fragile, so I don't think we want that much, all that much turning and stuff going on here. Oh, this is where I used that crumply scissors, so it made my all the bottoms blend together, which worked really well. And in fact, I'm going to do it right here because I can. And then I'll just make it, it makes it look like it's a little bit torn, whatever. Just one more little detail. I'm the queen of one more detail. I always think I'm done and then I'm not. All right, let's get ready to glue. Oh, we got a little flippy doody going on there. Just tuck that down. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is glue this on. And I definitely want to make sure I get glue around my door, because that is going to get, you know, it's going to get some wear and tear. So let's just make sure that that gets glued down. And since I'm not using this flange, I'm going to go ahead and glue it down. And then we're going to glue this. So this whole thing is going to go on the page as one, and I am lining it up with the edge of my page. And if it's not straight, I'm going to straighten it out from the top. And I don't want to get it all the way in the crease because it's really thick. I don't want it down in the crease or it'll make the book hard to open and close. So I always put mine, when I do this, I put it a little bit, that's like maybe a 1/4 inch away from the, you know, the inside fold. And I'm going to have to do, oh, dag, see, look, I didn't get it right. And I don't know if I can pick this up. Yes, I can. Thank you, Fabri-Tac. All right, pull it up, quick, pull it up. I didn't line it up with my nest. There we go. Boy, that was a close call, wasn't it? It had a floating bird's nest. That would be bad. Okay, so close that down, close this down, and then I have a little flippy doody going on here, so we got to get that glued down, and then I'll go over here to the back of my page and trim that off. I might have to go back and add a little glue to that since I pulled it up, because it's not getting down there as much as I want. And then flip this over. Yep, I got a little overhang in there, so that's fine. Trim that off. And there we go. A really fun interactive page. So we open it up. We can still journal here, which is nice. Open this up. And then we have our little bird. I love that. All right, I hope you enjoyed this kind of fussy project, but it's really fun. It's a great way to use really, really beautiful papers that already have doors and windows in them, because you just cut them out and you can make them open. You can cut them out all together and put a bird in it, put a bird behind it. So it's just a really fun way to take advantage of papers that already have these features and make your journals more fun and more interesting. Thanks for joining me. This is Lisa in Imagination Sisterhood Studio.